to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
So I am curious, what is the science behind it? Because when I floated with your company, I don't know, a month ago, I felt high for probably 2 or 3 hours afterwards. Like no joke, like legitimately felt high. That's
great.
This happened a few times with sauna, which we'll talk about too, of course, but because I have had mood changes with sauna too. Like a couple of times I was coming in not having the best day, hit sauna 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and 45 minutes later, you just feel better. Like your state of mind changes, but not like the float. The float I was in there. Your guy let me in. He let me stay a few minutes extra in there.
Great.
And
we like to be generous.
Oh man, the time passed so fast. I went with no music, no light.
Yeah.
And either did or almost did fall asleep. But I don't meditate. I would like to more. It's hard for me to sit still and meditate.
Yeah,
but something
too.
about being in that tank, it was not hard to lay in there and just chill, and the time passed really quick. And no joke, when I got out for a few hours, because I remember telling Mariana later on when I was making dinner that you just felt, I don't know how else to describe it, you just kind of felt really good. Like I even felt a little bit high. Is that the salt or what is that?
I think it's a few different qualities, that's happening with you when floating. Well, I will share too, it's interesting. Sometimes people, it's feedback that I'll hear really often, and people will say to me, "Oh, I couldn't possibly float. I'm really a type A personality. It's so hard for me to relax." I'm like, Actually, that's who floating best serves is people who have a really hard time relaxing. And guess what? I'm one of those people too.
Yeah.
And that's why floating really works for me, is because I have to surrender in this space.
Mm-hmm.
I can't reach for a phone. I have workaholic tendencies. We have 4 children at home. I have to surrender to the space. I have no other choice but to let go and let be.
Mm-hmm.
And for other people maybe who are also like me, I feel like my mind never stops.
Mm-hmm.
It's just constantly going, for better or for worse. You know, I'm just very active and just always have a gazillion ideas and thoughts that are running through my mind. And so it's very hard to calm it at times. And floating, I find it really calms the clutter. It is, as the infrared sauna detoxes your body, I find that the floating really helps detox my mind and just to be still. We are so inundated with stressors in our lives. I mean, look at the way that we live our lives. It's just nonstop going, combined with all the technology that just didn't exist before. Mm-hmm. So we are just pounded with tons of stimuli that are happening all the time. And we get overburdened mentally. Mm-hmm. And floating is just one of those environments and is a practice that can just really help quiet that noise. And I find that when I quiet the clutter and quiet the noise in my mind, it really just helps it does feel like a big weight has lifted, that you could then feel more high or elevated, and really you're feeling liberated, because all of that mental clutter and noise is tiring. It's exhausting. It's experienced as stress, which just depletes us in many ways. So we have to restore or kind of brain dump once in a while. We'll refill it back up the next day.
Yeah.
But that, just to create that balance, especially for people who are really living a nonstop go life. And floating for me has been my path to meditation.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's totally been that's what you're doing when you're in there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sitting cross-legged.
Right.
You're lying down and you're weightless, and that is a path of meditation. That's an experience of meditation. And what's really cool is that it is a practice, and that the more that you do it, you see how that grows into a meditative practice, which then transcends into other aspects of your life outside of the float. So I see how my float practice has really transcended as and impacted me as a leader in business, as a wife, as a parent, in so many different facets of my life. And thank God to having had a practice through floating, to have been able to really persevere through COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope everyone has a practice of some sort to navigate these challenging times.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with that. I'm not sure that everyone does. I know alcohol sales are up a lot since COVID hit, so I think that's
sure.
practice, and it's not a great one.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the weightlessness. So it is one of the few times, I mean, I'm trying to think when else you would be weightless, and I can't because...
In utero.
Okay. All right.
Very
Are babies
primal.
weightless? Are babies weightless? For the most
Yeah,
part?
I
I mean,
mean,
you're just hanging out
floating
in
around
water, I
in-
guess. Yeah, that's true.
Amniotic fluid.
Yeah, because they can flip around, can't they?
Yeah.
So in utero, if you go in space, obviously, I mean, aside from that, there's rare opportunities to actually be weightless. And so is there a medical benefit to occasionally getting in a float tank and letting your body be weightless, letting your bones and bone structure decompress?
Well, yes, we're talking about a lot of the genesis of floating, which was really, intended for deep, mental relaxation or meditation or whatnot. But there's really two tracks. The other track of it is the physical recovery, which is why you get, Titans players or CrossFit guys and ladies, people who have really bad back pain. I floated throughout pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'd gained, at least like 60 pounds. I was
Yeah.
ginormous as a result. My back was really hurting me. My knees were really hurting me. So to be weightless, when you are weightless, you're relieving all pressure off of your back, your neck, your joints. So everything gets to rest, recover, realign. Your skin, meanwhile, is your largest organ. So that's absorbing all of the health benefits of Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. Magnesium is a naturally occurring mineral within our bodies that is responsible for over 300 bodily functions. In fact, there have been studies that have come out saying that, over 80% of Americans are actually magnesium deficient.
My wife is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're starting to see clients come in because their doctors are telling them that they're magnesium deficient and they want to get that really high dose of magnesium.
You can get that in by
floating.
Yeah, through your skin, whatever you call that, transdermal.
Your skin's your largest organ.
Interesting.
So that, which leads to also kind of other topic, but what we put on our bodies and on our skin, that's why everyone's really evaluating what's in our skincare products and things like that, because our skin is absorbing all of that.
Yeah. I felt like when I was doing sauna every day, because with your month subscription, you let people come in every day. And so I just did. I think I came in 7 days a week.
Great. Yeah.
I might have missed 1 or 2 days in the month.
Good.
But I felt
Did you ever do a double?
I did not. You mean twice as long? A session twice as long?
Yeah. We call it the faucet flow.
Ooh.
I do doubles. Yeah.
You stay in the sauna an hour and a half?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I was doing good to stay in for 45 minutes, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one time I could only make it 25 minutes. I had come in, basically, I had worked out at CrossFit hard, showered, and 30 minutes later I was in the sauna, and it was a little too close, and I just couldn't stay in there. But I built up to time. Like most of the time I'd stay for 45 minutes. But where I was going with this was doing sauna every day and then jumping in that float tank. My skin felt really, really good. Like it felt just
so soft.
Well, yeah, and I felt like the
So
complexion.
clean.
I felt like it changed the complexion a little bit. Like it just felt like it gave me really nice skin, which mostly was a sauna, but also being in that float tank.
Well, the Epsom salt, I always tell people, give yourself a little rub down while you're floating because, it does have exfoliating properties to it. It doesn't feel salty in the water, but it is. And it's going to, detoxify and cleanse your skin as well. And it's something that I always notice with clients, and I don't know the reason for it. I need to ask our doctor clients, but people's eyeballs are really white after a float.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like
almost
it's just
like clear.
Oh my, yeah, just totally clear, no red veins or anything. Just you get really bright white eyes, and I'm sure there's an explanation.
I'm sure
for
there
that.
is. It can't be coincidence if you've seen it on more than one person. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
so there's got to be something to that.
Yeah, I always tell people to look in the mirror.
What that is. Shoot me a text if you ever find out. I'd love to know. So it's obviously the 95 degrees, and that just keeps you comfortable. And then you have all the salt. Now you mentioned the UV lights, but that wouldn't be the case if you turn them off, right? Because I'm thinking I had it just black in there. Just dark.
Yeah, no, the UV, that's part of our filtration system. That's in our filtration tank. That when all the water after you float, there's an automatic, and it's all computerized, where the float water goes through a 15-minute filtration process. So all the water goes through a tube that has UV light. UV light kills, bacteria and all that.
So Brady has one in his house. I know Joe Rogan, I listen to his podcast a lot. He has one, I don't know if it's at his house. I think it was at his studio, at least in LA. He recently moved to Austin.
I know, I heard.
Yeah, which is
big news.
Which is big news for him.
Yeah, no, I listen to Joe Rogan.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a big proponent for tanks.
Oh, yeah, and sauna.
Yeah, and sauna.
And
absolutely.
sauna. He doesn't do infrared
That's right.
like I do.
Yeah,
but
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on, because I think he favors traditional sauna versus infrared.
Well, he's, just super intense guy. And so he likes for it to be that shock heat impact of, being in a sauna that's, 200 degrees. I don't want to obviously speak for him, but
right. But you can be in it for shorter.
He's an intense dude.
For sure. My understanding is that he's not in it for 45 minutes, though, that it's more like 20 minutes when it's that hot.
And that's why infrared is at a lower temperature than your traditional sauna. And for your listeners, I should describe what the difference is between the two, which we can get into.